Hello and welcome to the TalkBGKY podcast, the official podcast for the City of Bowling Green. I'm Chief Brooks and we're here to talk about Officer Training School. Class 8, a month away, and I'm joined here with some guests from the Bowling Green Fire Department.
Chris Urban, started with the Bowling Green Fire Department in 2011. I went through Officer Training School in 2019, the first class. I've been a part of the school ever since it started. Member of the first class and then been a volunteer, now to instructor, leading into our 8th year.
Captain Dustin Jones got hired with Chris Durbin in 2011, and he made it to the first class there in 19. I didn't make it until I believe it was the fall of 21. Extrication coordinator and trying to bring some of that to the class to give back to other departments here in the future.
Awesome.
Battalion Chief Craig White. I was lucky enough to get hired with Chief Brooks here back in 06. He's drugged me along the whole way. I helped come up with the class with a handful of other guys. Started probably in 2018, early on. Our previous chief asked us to develop this class, wanted something more for our officers, and we initially modeled it around Fire Officer 1, and here we are.
There's a group of us that sit in the same room, plan out to try to deliver a class. We're really good at the beginning of one's career, but when they go on that journey towards leadership from a different platform, whether it be engineer or captain or a chief level officer, there was a group that took Battalion Chief White now, his vision from the military side that I'd like for him to speak on. We had to take that vision and bring it to something of a reality here for the fire department. And so there are some OGs this class. If there's one OG, it is Battalion Chief White. So if you don't mind, speak on your military background and why you thought it was relative to bring to the fire service.
Yeah, so I was in the Air Force for a few years before I wound up back in Bowling Green. Ended up getting commissioned as an officer while I was in the Air Force. And during their officer training school in Alabama, they have a lot of team building drills, and that's where a lot of this came from, and then a lot of leadership concept. We decided the standard Fire Officer 1 class offered by the fire service, it's kind of a checkbox, and it's not something that we felt valuable for our guys to actually lead a crew and become better at what we do on a day-to-day basis. So we did attach the Fire Officer 1 certificate to it, so we had to follow along with that curriculum, and they had to pass the test end of it. So that's the initial framework of this class, was modeling it after all those chapters in the Fire Officer 1 book and trying to adhere to that while also adding in a lot of team building drills, a lot of thinking outside the box, and a lot more physical aspect than just sitting in a room for 40 hours and death by PowerPoint is what we always call it. That was kind of the initial thought that I had, and then once I got all the guys that helped with the class, it just kind of took off. Honestly, that first year was kind of fly by the seat of your pants. We didn't have any idea if it was going to be a hit. At times, shuffling the schedule around because we were either overtime, undertime. Durbin can talk on this, but everybody was like, it was one of the best classes I ever took. We couldn't tell that y'all were like ducks on the pond. It just all came together, and then after that, we fine-tuned it and got a little bit better at it every year, I feel like.
Yeah, Chief White talked about fine-tuning it, and it kind of made me smile a little bit. That first year, sitting in the classroom, he's right. It was like one evolution after another. We would have a class, and then we would have a break. We would lead into some hands-on training, and then we'd come back, all these different drills that we went through. And it flowed. It was kind of seamless. And sitting in the classroom, you're like, wow, these guys are killing it. Fast forward the next class, I sat in as a volunteer, kind of just doing whatever behind the scenes I could do. And I learned really fast that it was, duck on a pond's a good description. We were churning away behind the scenes with the ultimate goal of the students never realizing it. And I think we've kept through with that through the past 7 years. It seems like every year it gets a little bit better. And every year we're scrambling and we're in the back of the room tapping on our watch going, okay, buddy, you need to finish up. We got to get here. We got to get there. But it falls together. And I think that's really a credit to the individuals that we have running it. It's a credit to the department as a whole, the facilities that the city provides us with. We just have the ability to make it work. Every year it's gotten better. And I really look forward to what next year will hold. And then even moving on down further into the future is we have some more people stepping up who are filling that volunteer role. We've got new instructors. It just continues to grow. It continues to get better. And it's just been fun to be a part of it.
This climb is just, you sit here and you look back on what 2019 looked like, and we're a month away. Now we have a budget for this. We didn't have a budget when we began. We've got the community support. We're looking at the sponsor banner. It's the list of people from near and far that support this program, that see value, which includes the Corvette plant. Like they're a big sponsor of us. So, and they're on our patch. So you just think about the local business like Nats, and then several vendors in the fire service come to know what you're doing with this program, man. The support that we have now, and you talked about this, the resources we have. That facility out there, being year one, that we're getting ready to kick off this class 8 for OTS, in that facility with those training grounds, we're blessed in this department, in this city, to have what we have. And sometimes we forget that until we go outside of our little city here and we realize nobody has it better than us.
Well, several of us last week were in Greenville for a Task Force 2 meeting, like statewide there. Some of the guys from Ohio Task Force that went through this just a couple years ago, they said, hey, what's the best day to come back down this next period? I said, man, you pick it. Like, what are you looking for? You've been through it. You know what it is. Like, each day's good. We don't know what you'll take from it. I think those guys have decided to come down Wednesday for us. But for me, that being as just interdepartment when I went through it, and then to watch you guys make that change, and then to be able to volunteer and be a part of bringing in others, I see that being a huge value for us, is that we're gaining so much from them now that they don't see that, right? And we're being able to use their experiences, continue to provide for our leadership here in our own department. And that's invaluable to me as the leader. Like, I was under Chief White. I got hired with Durbin, known Chief Brooks, most of my life. But these other guys that we're bringing in, they're sharing some stuff that we ain't ever seen in our department. It's helping us grow more than ever, probably.
Yeah, and Dustin touched on it, and it's something it's resonated throughout since we actually started bringing in the exterior departments, is the networking that we gain from the chief level all the way down from the firefighter level of just knowing guys across the state that if we have an issue, if we have a question, we can call, we can ask. If we need resources or how do you do this, we can call on them and ask them. It's invaluable, really, in the fire service. It allows us to get outside of our bubble. It allows us to bring people into our bubble. I personally feel like we're one of the best departments out there, but every year you learn something from another department and you take something away, and not just at the class level, but to the company level, to the department level, to the policy level. Like you're affecting everything, and having these people and these other departments be a part of it, it continues to grow. And every year I look forward to going back to it. It's just re-energizing for me as an instructor, as a student. And the goal there again is to constantly be a student, constantly be refilling my bucket. And this class is something that every year it does it.
We all get passionate and protective of several things in life. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You feel like if you're involved, it should be good. And that passion comes from the investment that you make into it. But to be truthful, when you put out a product, the best evaluation comes from the outside. And it shouldn't come from inside. You talk about getting outside your bubble. This marks year 3 that we have invited outside departments. And every year when we do end of class evaluations, the feedback that you get, there's not many people trying to go back to some of these other classes that are offered in the fire service to do it again. To get that outside evaluation, it's important. So question for you, specifically you, Chief White, is why open it up to the outside? Why not just keep it internal?
I think one reason is just fundamental, is we don't have enough people every year sometimes. Like, we have a lot of people promoting and a lot of opportunity there, but if you're only going to have 3 or 4 guys, it's really hard to justify a week-long class that's this intense. You need teams to actually do it. So one of those transition years, we only had, I think, 3 or 4 of our guys that needed it. So we said, hey, let's open it up and see what happens. And I don't remember how many we got that first year, but it was 3 or 4 departments. So that was one of the reasons. And then once we kind of dipped our toe into those waters, it was like, we can really make a bigger impact in our state, in our region. And now it started reaching outside of the state, with Ohio Township and Indiana. Just for example, this year we've got the most departments ever visiting us: Owensboro, Henderson Fire, Paducah, Anchorage, Middletown outside of Louisville. I already mentioned Ohio Township in just across the river in Indiana, Madisonville, and then our new Warren County Fire Department here in Warren County sending a couple of their guys. So it's nice to see that we're going to be able to impact the fire service regionally, and then hopefully even bigger than that maybe, as our reach continues to grow. We've had people from Michigan City, Indiana, and different places kind of reach out asking about it. And I think that's cool. I think it's cool to get their take on stuff, like Captain Jones said, because sometimes we get in our own little bubble and we think our way's the only way. And when these guys come in, we learn as much as they do sometimes. And being able to send this stuff out for them, though, I think just enhances everybody's department.
Whether internal or external, what is the rank, the person, the type of professional you're looking for to attend this class? Is there a set rank that you're looking for? Is there a set trajectory that one's on when you look to say, would you like to come and compete for this week?
I don't think there's a set rank, and the one thing I'll say about that is because we don't always know. We have our rank structure, and we know who we want. So the Bowling Green Fire Department wants engineers that are aspiring to promote to captain, and we see them as being future leaders in this department. But some departments only have firefighters and then lieutenants and captains. So that's a weird part for me is we don't know their rank structure, but we always put it out there to the chiefs that we want people that are looking to promote to that company officer level, whatever that rank is in their department, usually captain, but somebody that's wanting to aspire to that. Because I think we've had a few senior firefighters in the class, and I don't know if that was because, like Paducah may not have an engineer. They may just go straight to lieutenant or captain.
Yeah, I can remember thinking sitting in class, in that 22 class, that, man, I should have went through this way sooner. And for us at Bowling Green, it was the engineer to captain, but definitely is that firefighter trying to figure out where you're going and what leadership looks like or what you've seen in the past. Like, hey, this kind of starts giving you that option of going, well, I'm a little more of a follower, or, maybe I do want to ride the front and make the calls. So that'll help you, in this class start going, yeah, maybe I'm not comfortable having those tough discussions when it comes time to say some of these things that these guys and these instructors have put me through. So it helps you decide where you want to be in that team atmosphere that our job demands of us at sometimes.
Yeah, looking at the roster, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the first time, and the roster is set at 24 this year, that this is the first time we've had a chief officer from not only internal but external come here to compete, to complete the week. So that's very exciting. We've always looked at it from the driver aspiring to be an officer, or maybe the officer that has been in the seat for a while that maybe wants to be a chief down the road. But it's very encouraging that we've made it possible for chief officers who have been serving in their department that want to come here to take an officer training school, which is important.
Yeah, and the one thing I thought of when you were saying that is there have been several years when people come into the class and they go, we wouldn't mind doing something like this for our own department. And it makes me think, like, if the assistant chief is coming to take the class, like maybe he's going to try to steal our ideas and he wants to do his own class. And that's never been a thought with us, because anybody that says, hey, we wouldn't mind doing this for our department, we go, we'll give you the keys to this thing. Like we'll give you our whole schedule, the curriculum, or the team building drills, all that. Now we try to keep those quiet for future students, but for now it's like, I would love to see another department come and take what we're doing and then model it somewhere else too.
Yeah, you touch on that, and I remember getting photos from like Independence Fire where they came here and they sat through the whole class, not as a student, not as someone trying to compete, but one just trying to evaluate it. A good friend of mine in the fire service took the team building drills back. I'm not going to try to let out too many details, but he took some of those back and he tried it within his department, and he put his own little class on. And when they send that stuff back, it's not that we're offended. It's the opposite. We want you to go back and to take it back to your department, but it's encouraging to see that they don't wait on us, but literally they take it, steal it, and beg, borrow, and all that. So,
Chief, going back to your original question of who's this class for, when I look at this class, there's really two, I guess, areas that you would look at. And if a chief officer training somebody from another department asked me and they're like, who should we send? I'd look at them and go, hey, you really, there's two options here. You have somebody that you see potential. That could be a firefighter. That could be somebody who's new to the job, but you see that potential and you want to kind of put them on that path. And then the other option is, hey, you've got that guy who needs direction, who just needs a reset, who needs an opportunity to learn how to do the job. Like they're in a position and they're just not fulfilling that expectation. Give them an opportunity to come here and maybe learn some stuff, maybe bring some stuff back. Chief White talked about sharing the material. It was a new experience for me. This last class, I had students reach out and they're like, "Hey, can I get that PowerPoint, or can I get that test, that evaluation that we did?" And I'm like, "You want this?" I'm like, "Yeah." I was like, "Heck yeah, man. Here you go." One of the guys like, "Hey, I want my crew to take that test so we can kind of see where everybody's at, and I can kind of see how maybe they respond, what leadership styles they respond to." And it was just an awesome feeling. Like, man, this is making a difference. This is actually, people are using this. They're not just coming here for a week to hang out, do some cool stuff, get some overtime or whatever. They're taking it back to their department and they're improving in their areas. And it was a cool feeling to have. And hopefully that's something that continues to grow.
You said taking it back. You attended in 19, not knowing what the class would be, but then you decided to come back. Both of you came back to join a cadre of 20 plus now. Takes a village. Why did both of you come back to give back, as a volunteer, and now as part of the cadre that will stand in front of them and to give instruction?
I think on that is that we all hit that spot in our career to where we're like, I think I got this figured out. Like, I feel pretty squared away. And you're mentioning the chief officer that's going through this class, and for me, that's where I had got as a firefighter engineer. As maybe I was feeling a little comfortable. And I look at this leadership, I looked at it pretty simple when I went through this class, is that, early on when you're hired as a fireman, you start building this foundation, kind of like a house, right? Well, after 15 or 20 years, it's time to tear the roof off of it and maybe do some rebuilding or some remodeling. And that's probably where I was in my career. Maybe, hopefully, some of these chief officers that come, that we can fit them in and go, hey, it's time for a remodel. And that's okay, right? It's just small changes that maybe we need to make. But as the fire service changes and different leadership styles are needed, hopefully, as we bring in new volunteers that we've pushed through the class, they can bring a different aspect to it than what Chief White originally and Chief Brooks originally brought to the table. And it'd be the same thing for me one day. Eventually, it's going to be time for, like, hey, that new blood to come in and change it up for us.
Battalion Chief White usually, in once or twice a year, he'll say, hey, it's time to take it to another level. And taking it to another level, you got to remember that the roofs are always man-made, and sometimes we can look at one and go, that may be their ceiling. But in a lot of ways, this class is about taking it to another level. And when you talk about getting out of your comfort zone, you talk about a remodel, we're trying to take it to the next level. And the only way we're going to be able to do that is to come back and to make sure that we're pouring in, we're investing in those that will one day and should do it better than we are. And so you look at this class, you look at our department, you look at the people coming from the outside, it's important to us that either they come back to our house or they go back to their house from far away, states away now, and they're better for it. And just if they're 3 stories, and maybe they go back and in due time they're 4 or 5 stories of a leader, or however you want to look at that. But the remodel is a very good aspect, and it's important for us to give back. You're withholding the service when you hoard all that information, and it is a big effort. It's a heavy lift. There's no doubt about it, but it's worth it to us. Why'd you come back?
So Dustin kind of touched on it. At the time when this class was put on, I was feeling very confident in my abilities. I was in a position that I had been in. I was getting some opportunities to act in that officer role, and I saw some other people doing things, and I was like, man, maybe I do it a little different, or why are they doing that? This class came around, and I saw it as a great opportunity, but I also felt a little intimidated by it. At the end of the day, it was humbling to go through it. I did get knocked down a little bit, which was a good thing. Like anything in this world, when you see something that's successful, something that interests you, you like watching it, you want to be a part of it. Like, man, this class was great. I just want to be associated with it. And I went to the guys and I was like, hey, next year, I'll sit in the back of the classroom, I'll cook lunch, I'll run errands, whatever you want me to do. I want to be a part of this, because I think I want guys to take away what I got. If they can even get a little piece of it, just let me be a part of it. And so I volunteered for a year, 2 years, and then I was given an opportunity. Actually, Craig was like, hey, I'm thinking about turning away this PowerPoint. Does anybody want it? And I was like, yeah, let me have it. Like, I want to do it. And then it was kind of like that start over. I was like, oh crap, here I am now. I got to stand in front of this room of people who have Some have more experience, some have less. But at the end of the day, the guys who I look up to at this department are sitting in the back of the room watching me and evaluating me. So again, that was that challenge. That was that challenge that I look forward to. It's something I wanted to do better at it because the guys that taught me were in the back of the room. And I hope on some level I haven't been kicked out of the class yet. You never know. It could come after this year, but
It's probably this year.
it probably is. But but it's that opportunity to give back and to be part of something that's bigger than yourself. Because this class is not about Craig's vision. It's not about the chief of the department. It's not about the instructors. It's about bettering the fire service as a whole. We want to better our circle. We want to better our department. But at the end of the day, any impact we can have on the fire service as a whole, that's what we want. Because at the end of the day, that's what's best for the citizens. And that's why every one of us joined this job.
You mentioned vision in there, and I was going to ask Chief White, what's that day look like when you travel to one of these other departments, so Owensboro, Ohio Township, Paducah, whoever takes that first leap of the information that we've shared and knowledge, and they go, this is officer training school, class 1. What's that going to feel like when you can sit in the back of their classroom and go, my goodness, this thing has took off like wildfire?
I don't really know, man. If they're doing it for the right reasons, it'll be just like us. Like, we don't know if it sucks or if it's hitting home. And then at the end of the week, if they get the same thing that we have, because like Chief Brooks said earlier, we brought those outside guys in, and I was as nervous as I was teaching in front of the old guys the first couple of years. Was like, I don't know these guys. I don't know what they do, how they operate different than us. And then to hear them, because me and Captain or Battalion Chief Ashley go through the evals every year with the guys one-on-one and just kind of get their take on it. And it's just a resounding, one of the best classes I've ever been to. Like, it's always the same feedback. So it would be pretty gratifying if we got to go somewhere and sit in on theirs and help. I wouldn't mind helping them with it if they're trying to get it stood up, but that'd be cool. Somebody starts putting their own class on.
So if you were offered to take the show on the road, take a group of cadre to go to another department for 1 week, could we do it? Would we do it?
Oh, I know we could do it. It would be quite a bit of work, but honestly, there ain't a whole lot of setup or supplies or just a little bit of logistics, and it would probably be more so of what we've seen here, just going with the flow and adjusting stuff and plugging and playing, because that's what we always do. Like, every year, I don't think we've ever had a year that we didn't switch something with something else or go, they went long, cut that short. You know what I mean? So,
Sure.
Well, that's for the most part, everybody that's in this class or part of the fire service. That's what you do day in, day out, right?
Right.
You just, it's always something a little bit different. And in our class, going through construction with the new training center, and each year we're like, all right, we hope to have that part done. So for the last couple of years, we've been under construction, and from the evals, like you said, seems like we've hit the mark with it. And hopefully this year, I mean, we're fully asphalted out there on the training grounds this year. Ought to make it just a little smoother, probably.
yeah. Before I miss it, Durbin said earlier, made me think, people taking this stuff back, or that guy that's kind of unengaged and plateaued, getting them fired back up. The very first year that we had outside students come in, not saying any names, we had a guy show up, and he maybe plateaued a little bit, and he was soft, for lack of better terms. And some of the physical stuff and the run just killed him. And we thought, I don't know how that's going to go or how it's going to translate. Turns out he's still in contact with one of our guys here, and it changed his life. He went back, started running 2 or 3 miles a day, lost 60, 65 pounds, and was just fired up. So hearing stories like that makes it worth it. That makes everything we do, I feel like, worth it, knowing that somebody really did a 180 and they're back in the job now.
Yeah, it's a game changer. It changes their career in some ways, but it's also an attitude. When they come here on day one, we're going to tell them, don't anticipate, just participate, but speak to the attitude that you're looking for, because the truth is, not all that show up here over now 7 classes down, 8th starting on March 23rd, they all don't show up ready. And in some ways, they're a reflection of their department, of their self, of their life. And some of those people are great reflections, and some have to look in the mirror. With that being said, what attitude are you looking for in the cadre as they show up? Not the cadre, but the students.
This will, relate a little bit to the cadre, is that our cadre is so diverse in the way we handle the job and we handle our people that we're going to hit home with these students at some point. And I think that's maybe sometimes what you don't find in other classes. You may go to FDIC and sit in an hour of something and you go, well, that one didn't hit like I thought, right? And there may be portions of that this week where you're like, I kind of know maybe the strategies and tactics here that guy just taught. But there's gonna be a point that week that we hit a weak spot maybe in your leadership, and hopefully that is what is continuing to throw fuel on the fire for us.
I look for humility, which is it's hard because typically the people that are going through this class, even guys in our department, they're the go-getters. They're the people who are fighting for that promotion, who want to be future leaders. And it's kind of hard to come into a class, especially if you're coming from the outside and you're like, I don't know who these guys are. I don't know. Maybe he made battalion chief because his best friend was the chief, or they don't know. They don't know what our pedigree is. They don't know what our run volume was, or that Dustin's a captain on a rescue truck that makes the most runs in our department. They don't know. You have to kind of sit in that classroom and just, like Dustin said, have an open mind, because not everything's for you. But with the different instructors we have and the material, the wide variety of material, you'll get something. As long as you come with that a little bit of humility that, hey, there's going to be somebody here that knows something I don't know, you'll do great. Because once you get that aha moment, and typically you kind of see it in the students where that they're sitting in their classroom and they're zeroed in, like they're here. They are right here listening to this. And the guy next to him's kind of over in La La Land. But then the next presentation, that might switch. There will be something in this class that you will get out of it. You have to be willing and open to look for it.
Humility seems to be the common ground there that he speaks of. Something that we could all use on a day in, day out basis. But what would you say is the biggest challenge as the OG of this program?
One of the biggest challenges is people wanting to know the schedule. That's been a struggle from year one, and we'll just try to give them a time. And sometimes we lie because we don't know. We don't know if we're going to get out early or if it's going to run a little late. But we just give them a general time, and that's always been one of the complaints is, well, I don't know why you can't give us the schedule just so we know. Like, and it's like you said earlier, don't anticipate, just participate. So what I would tell anybody that's planning on coming to OTS, one, is to have your physical fitness somewhat in order, because it's not any kind of boot camp or anything like that, but we do a lot of physical activity in and out of the classroom. And two, I would show up with the attitude like you're getting on a roller coaster. Once the bar goes down in front of you and class starts, you ain't getting off. You're going to go up, you're going to go down, might get thrown around a little bit, but you're going to have a good time. And in the week, hopefully you leave smiling.
That's good. Tell me more about your chief officer at one of these outside departments, whether it's Warren County Fire or whether it's Ohio Township. And we've had some other departments in the past, like Glasgow and E-Town, have joined us for this class, but not this year. How do they get a behind the curtain look at it? Is that available to them?
For sure, yeah. And we've I think every year since we've opened it up, we've had chief officers from almost every department. I don't know if every one of them have been, but just about. They'll come down for one day. Some guys come down for 2 or 3 days out of the week. And then a lot of times they'll come down on Friday when we do the graduation ceremony for them, so they can be there for them, take pictures with them. They're always welcome to come down, sit in on the class, walk around out on the drill grounds and see some of the stuff we're doing with them. They're always welcome. And I think the proof's in the pudding on that one too, because a lot of the same chief officers and chiefs keep sending their guys back, and they don't care. They didn't care when we dropped the Fire Officer 1 certification with the class, and it just became a really more intense on just the leadership styles and the stuff you'll need to do the job. They just keep sending them.
You're asking about chief officers, how can they get behind the scenes? We've got a retired captain here from Bowling Green. He's in his 70s now, and he's a part-time training captain now, and every Friday he sends out just a quick drill tip, that come out of one of our fog manuals. He still sits in the back of the classroom and takes notes. And he knows he's trained all of us at some point, and he probably knows exactly what we're going to teach. But yet he still sits back there and takes notes, right? So that's what I would encourage is any of your training guys, any of your chief officers, like come down for a couple of days, sit in, see what we're teaching, and you'll get something out of it as well. Like I can't imagine not sitting in Chief White's portion of the class and not being able to take notes. Like there's something from everybody that you can jot down and store away.
Yeah, thanks for saying that. You speak of Captain Bob Sanborn, and you referenced FOG, and for if you're listening to this podcast, that's a field operation guide for us, and he's helped develop that, and he sends out a Friday nugget out of that every Friday, and it's typically at 4 or 5 in the morning because that's when he's working. But it's also very special this year that not only we've opened the training, the Public Safety Training Center, but this group of 24 candidates that are coming to compete, and the cadre will be the first year that they will do it under the shadows of the Bob Sanborn Drill Tower. And so that's special to us. 70 plus years, yeah, you're right. He's still taking notes. He's still growing. He's still learning, but he's also still doing what you're doing. He's deciding to choose to come back and to give back. So that's special.
That's 70 years at the fire department too, by the way.
Born and raised.
We think he's 110.
Yeah. If you had to break down the class in a percentage base, we've all been to those classes where it's 100% in the classroom, looking at some type of screen, projector, PowerPoint. If you had to break down this class, what percentage would you say this class is hands-on?
Like Craig said, we kind of make some of that up on the fly, so it is hard to throw an exact number out there.
I think it's changed. I think when we first started, it was probably 60-40, maybe 65-35. I don't know. And I think it's moved, and that's 65 classroom, 35 hands-on. And I think the more that we've been able to kind of make it our own and tailor it, it's become closer to 50-50. And this year may be the first year where it starts creeping over to where it's 60% hands-on and then pop back in the classroom for a little while to get a breather.
With us taking out the fire officer certification, it's maybe some departments feel like maybe that's what they're going for. The evals have said we want more hands-on. We're learning better there. So we've let the past kind of help us provide a better class. And like you're hitting on, that'll get us probably over 50% of hands-on this year, I believe. That's
what the chiefs have said, because we try to be very transparent and upfront with them. And we were like, one, we're raising the price. And two, we're not officer and fire officer one. And we were like, I don't know how that's going to go. And they said, we don't care. Students and the chief said, we don't care. We still want the class. We're sending people every year. And I think some places have a waiting list of guys to get into this class in their own department.
I will put this out there for anybody who is listening to the podcast who maybe your department hasn't gone through this, or maybe you just stumbled across it. It is a physically demanding class. I wouldn't say that it's over the top, but it is definitely our goal. I think it's fair to say our goal is to push you outside of your comfort zone. Now, that might be physically outside of your comfort zone, could be mentally outside of your comfort zone. It could just be fire service. Like I said, we have hands-on drills. You might do some things that are fire service related that you haven't done. You will certainly do things leadership related that you haven't done. And there's a chance you might do some physical stuff you haven't done. That's what it's about. Getting outside of your comfort zone is where you are going to get better. Whether that be the fire service, whether that be being at home with your family, any aspect of life, is being uncomfortable is going to improve you.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. There's a mental aspect about this class. We see every single year that Thursday, Friday, when you've been away from your family, you're sleeping in a hotel, you're getting here almost before daylight, you're in your gear, you're physically taxed, you're trying to develop as a leader from afar. Throughout this week, our job is to share how important this thing, because it matters. It matters because you can't find another profession at a moment's notice where you're going to be asked to do a very special thing, and you got to be ready for it. And so as people are coming here, we get it. It's a sacrifice on their end to be here. And so we got to make sure that we get the opportunity to make sure that we're ready for them. And so it's a sacrifice on all ends, but it is a mental toll on not only the cadre, but also on those students that are coming from afar. So I'm glad you said that about the mental aspect of it. It's very important.
Captain Durbin, is, you're hitting on that, is your comfort zone. Like, I feel like we will find a weakness of yours this week. And it's not that we're pointing it out or we're picking it out. We're kind of leaving that on you, right, in developing yourself. But sometimes that's the hardest part, is having to deal with the weakness, right? But that's going to develop you. And when we mentioned it in the video, if you stick it out, the good side's when you get through the hard side, right? This class is going to find something for you that's tough or that you're not comfortable with. That's a weakness of yours. On the backside of it, we're all probably going to be better after that, because we'll get something from you at the same time.
Yeah, Captain Jones and myself have got a chance to tour around the state, present. There's nothing more. You said, what will you feel like if you ever go to another department and you're in the back of the room and they're doing what we're doing? You'll be a sense of, it'd be gratifying, right? It's also a real special thing to travel around to other departments that have sent people here, and you know them by name, and they go, hey, by the way, I went back home, fixed my marriage, I got sober, or whatever it is. You know, it's bigger than this whole thing called the professional firefighting. And so that's why we're so passionate and protective over the program, but we're also very open arms to it as well. It can help some people because it has, and we know that. So,
Chief White, what's your favorite day? I know without giving too much details, is there a certain part of the week that's your favorite?
I enjoy all of them except the last day, because we're mostly just, we're in the classroom more that day a little bit than the others, and I like all of them just because there's fun stuff every single day. I like the team building drills just to see how many different ways people's minds work as a group. Those are my favorite. Just watching how people work together or don't work together and figure it out or screw it up. Those are always my favorite.
I really like when we hit that Wednesday afternoon, Thursday morning, and the guys have been in the classroom. They've been doing stuff. They've been beat down a little bit, and you can kind of see maybe these personalities don't jive. Those personalities, these guys get along real good. And it's really that gut check moment of, crap, I got to get up and do this again tomorrow. Or you got some guys in the room that are like, I can't wait till tomorrow. What are we going to do tomorrow? Like, let's do this. Let's do that. I got an idea for next year.
Yeah.
But yeah, that Wednesday night, Thursday morning, it's enjoyable to see how people have responded to the stress. That stress, like I said, could be mental, could be physical, but there is no doubt they have been under stress. And then you get to see how they respond. I really enjoy that. I really I enjoy that opportunity to see the human nature of people.
well, same question back to you. What's your favorite day?
Since we've been able to kind of separate from the fire officer one, our hands-on portion has become a little more warm, I guess you would say, without giving too much away. And last year was, I know me and some other instructors had a good time there. And simply providing a drill that we had just done with our company performance drills here for every engine or truck company here, we put that right into play with these guys, and they did great with it. But I think we all learned something and had a lot of fun at it.
Same question. Favorite day?
That was it. That was the Wednesday and Thursday. That was big for me. We all know Chief's favorite day.
Yeah,
It's going to be Friday. He gets to
what about
talk.
you, Chief?
He gets to talk the most.
That first 30 minutes is going to be fun. It always is on that Monday, so we'll see where everybody's at. Yeah, March 23rd to the 27th. We're looking for a good week. We're looking to build off what we've done in the past. We expect and we intend for this year to be better than ever. We're going to lean into it. It'll be a heavy lift, but it'll be worth it. So,
Do we have Battalion Chief Ferguson doing the opening?
He wants one more chance.
One more shot at it?
One more shot.
yeah, I'm sure
He's got it.
I'm sure he'll do great.
Yeah.
Sure do great. That's an inside joke for those that were here a couple years ago. But yeah, we're excited. New training facility. It's really state of the art in a lot of ways compared to some other departments. And the great thing is that makes us more comfortable, which we fight against that because that makes us complacent. But we're really excited about what's to come on top of the hill up there. So just give us a couple months. It will probably not be here before the class starts, but the new burn facility that's coming, I said it earlier, nobody has it better than us, nobody. And people will realize that when they show up here. The good thing is we're willing to share all that.
Yeah, and real quick, I would like to add this for any of the citizens out there who are listening who may not be familiar with the fire service. This is an opportunity for us to show other people in the state the support that we get from not only the city but the community as a whole. We get to show off our town. We get people from other areas that they eat at local restaurants, they stay at local hotels. So it's not just the fire service here. We do have an opportunity to really showcase kind of what the best of Bowling Green has to offer. And without the support of the citizens, none of this would happen. And me personally, and I think us as a department are grateful for that.
100%.
If you're coming to class this year or any year in the future, just be prepared mentally, physically. That's why we call it, the catchphrase now is a hands-on approach to leadership.
We mentioned it in the video series. Come open-minded and work on a weakness this week. We've all got them. So there'll be an opportunity where it comes up. Take that back with you and work on it, because your crew's only going to be as good as you are, right? You've got to fix some of those weak spots.
Just looking forward to it. Like I said, every year, just an opportunity to kind of refill, and there'll be some new aspects of class this year that some of us as cadres have never seen before. Hopefully those work, and just know behind the scenes, we are working our best to make it smooth. But we hope that everybody that comes enjoys it. Hope that everybody can take something away from it. And if you're out there listening, or you know somebody who this would be a good opportunity, send them our way.
Yeah, if you're coming, just empty your bucket. We're going to do our best to fill it back up so that you can go home and pour out on others. And if we can do that, then we'll all leave and return a better professional in the fire service. So I appreciate y'all being here today and speaking on the soon-to-be Class 8. It's been a journey. It's been a climb, but it's always been worth it. You've been listening to TalkBGKY podcast, the official podcast of City and Bowling Green. Have a great day.